is. My biggest concern was the Heckma boys were fucking their way through the cheerleading team, and Dick, and Dick, and Dick was chasing everything that moved in Scottsdale. And speaking of, someone said he left his DNA. He did leave his DNA in Steve Nash's socks somewhere in the locker room. That was about the third week after we bought the team.
Okay, so gross.
Jeez.
You know, it's gross.
That's crazy. I don't mean to laugh. It's just wild, man. That's just wild.
It's super wild. Can you take a person? First of all, it was a roast. It was an actual roast. I don't know if
right.
I know there's going to be some people that are super young that don't know what a roast is. I don't know if they even do those anymore in this climate. But a roast is when you literally tell your friends, go up on stage and say the worst things you can think of about me. And that's what he was doing. So to try to take that's as out of context as you could possibly take someone. Another thing he was reported as saying, he was on a recording somewhere saying maybe his friend had a secretary with small tits. It's like, okay, is that sleazy? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want him saying that? No. Can you take his legally owned team away from him? I just don't know.
So here's a quote I see on here. I'm reading it off my phone. It says, Mr. Sarver, it's say here, a letter penned by the group, which includes retired state representative Dave Rodriguez. It says, Mr. Sarver has a notorious and extensive record of abusive, racist, and misogynistic behavior spanning nearly 2 decades. His victims include players, coaches, front office staff, team executives, players, family members, and many others. The accounts that have recently come to light are grotesque, with numerous instances of Mr. Sarver, a white man, freely using the N-word to refer to his players and coaches. He also alleged use sexually explicit, misogynistic language, as we just seen in that video. But that isn't a roast. This says in the workplace, which we need to, there's always that, including about the female body. And another example, Mr. Sarver is said to have made routine references to ownership over his employees, asking, "Do I own you?" ? That's just a weird quote to say, I guess. To those in whom he's unfamiliar, invoking an abhorrent time in our history. There are dozens of other examples. Which a few times, we heard about the thing with Earl Watson, former Phoenix Suns head coach Earl Watson, alleged Sarver used the N-word multiple times. Some employees.
That's where we have to stop. That's where That's where we have to stop. That's where we have to talk about. Okay.
Right.
Earl Watson was an absolutely terrible coach.
Yeah, everybody can agree with that. He would have a job if he wasn't.
That would not make it okay for Robert Sarver to do the things that he's alleged. But let's keep in context here. He was fired after 3 games in 2017 because he was giving up 50-point losses like each of the first 3 games. At least first 2 games, 50-50, and they let him go. He hates Sarver. Sarver is obviously not a lovable person. I would take Earl Watson seriously. I would take him much more seriously if he wasn't he's clearly disgruntled, or at least he clearly has a reason that he could be disgruntled.
Right.
No one else has come out and repeated what Earl Watson says. No one has his back on it. No one. We're talking James Jones, who, if I'm correct, is not white, who he probably might be a little bit offended if he had been around that in the workplace. Monty Williams, also not white. And then that brings us to Steve Kerr, the second wokest coach in the history of the NBA.
What about Steve Kerr?
Steve Kerr left the Suns under bad terms with Sarver. He has no love for him. He has no loyalty to him.
Right.
I can't get past, why would Steve Kerr be quoted? I've got his quote here. Let me find this here. Why would he be quoted as saying, I never saw anything that suggested racism or misogyny. I was very surprised to hear those allegations because that's not the person I know. Why would he say that about somebody who he left under bad terms? He's woke as hell. This isn't like some You know what I'm saying? This is a guy who shouldn't have any problem being like, oh yeah, he's a racist, get him out. Me Too movement, let's go.
Right.
So Monty, like I get it, with Monty and James Jones, they're getting paid by him directly. Maybe you don't rock the boat or bite the hand that feeds that signs your checks.
Basically, yes.
But Steve Kerr, what's next? Papa Woke is going to come out and be like, that
Papa
Robert
Woke never worked
Sarver's
for
a
him.
great person. I know him and I love him.
Popovich never worked for him. I mean, there's that with the Earl Watson thing, and we've discussed this, between ourselves. Like, we all agree Earl Watson has something, because, like you said, he was a head coach not for long and didn't last for long and was gone, and so he does have a vendetta against Robert Sarver. He probably feels some type of way about it. So we can go over that all we want, but we'll end up going to the same thing. There's another example that they said here, because I'm going to skip past that real quick. That says some employees said they encountered conduct they felt was inappropriate. One such instance includes Sarver allegedly passing around a picture of his wife in a bikini to employees and talking about sex acts she performed. Okay. Once again, that is super sleazy.
Okay.
Right.
There's an omission here that story leaves out, which is that she was like a model at the time.
Correct.
And she was modeling Phoenix Suns clothing, and it was a part of a board meeting where they were showing what they're going to be selling as merchandise, and she happened to be the model. So me passing around papers saying, here's what we're going to be selling for bikini wear, and then being like, by the way, that's my wife. Sleazy. Maybe don't brag. Maybe don't brag about your wife so much, but if it's not. Do I look like I want to be arguing for Robert Sarver? No.
I don't know. Maybe you do.
I don't.
Maybe you do.
Don't.
Let me give you one more example after this. Okay, and this is one that's kind of funny. During a recruiting pitch, sources said Sarver made a comment that they felt was racially insensitive. They didn't go into specifics, which you should probably go into specifics, right? All right. That's probably really important, because if you're you really need to be specific about these things. But they said they felt Sarver too loosely used the term black guy during the conversation. Now, I myself am an African American individual. Okay. That one I understand why you get comfortable. Somebody was like, yo, this black guy, you might feel some type of way about that. But I need to know the specifics of this conversation before I cast judgment. I'm gonna be honest with you. Before I cast judgment, I would need to hear that.
Like if he was saying, "Man, that was the tallest black guy I've ever seen in my life."
Right.
That's not so bad.
Right.
But being like, yeah, I was walking in my car and there was this
black guy. Oh my God. Now that's different. Yeah, right.
So you need the context. And the fact that they did not give you the context leads me to believe there was a reason they didn't give you the context, and they only gave you the portion of it that
possibly is.
Please, not only would I love for real stuff to come out that's actually worth getting rid of him, I'll look the other way if they get rid of him for this fake stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what's going on here and whether or not they're gonna be able to do it. And
they're gonna be able to strip him of his ownership of his team. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. We have a standard already, right? With the Clippers, as they so stated in the letter. We have a standard with what's his name, Donald Sterling, with what happened there. And Donald Sterling, as we discussed, didn't really use any racial slurs, though he did say some insensitive stuff. But in the recording, you heard what he had to say, and that got his team removed. So we have a standard. So we have a standard of what the NBA has deemed acceptable. And what isn't.
And the NBA has clearly made a commitment.
And the NBA has clearly made a commitment. And in our opinion, in my opinion, your opinion, out of the four major sports in the United States of America: baseball, basketball, football, hockey. The NBA is probably the most diverse, the most open about things like this. Like, this is not going to fly in the NFL. It's definitely not going to fly in baseball. And I don't know anything about hockey to even say anything about it, but I would assume it wouldn't fly in hockey either, right?
Yeah.
So the NBA, you know, they are different from those other four. So we have a standard. We're in a league that is known to support its players and be all about diversity and doing the right things in social justice and whatnot. The fact that there hasn't been a bigger move, because the Donald Sterling stuff was so fast. You remember that? Like,
yeah.
we saw the video, and when even not that long ago, boom, he was gone. Boom, his wife tried to get the team. Nah, you got to go too. They sold the team, and Ballmer bought it. But it wasn't long. It didn't take long at all. Like, if the NBA wanted to move, they would move so fast. So the fact that they're investigating this and nothing has came up that's been like major leads me to believe that this is probably not going to happen. And like you said, we would love for it to happen. We don't like Sarver. We hate the fact that he's such a cheapskate. We hate the fact that he's such a tightwad with this team. You know, his business practice with this team has led to us making decisions that have hurt the team in a way, you know what I mean, in the past. So, yeah, us as fans, bro, we would love to see this man go on and get another owner here who would be willing to put a good product on the court, a winning product on the court, and would spend the money to do so and not be a tightwad about it. So we're all on record saying that. But I don't think they have much, bro. I really don't. And it pains me to say that. I don't think they have much to go on. Like, we have the standard of Donald Sterling. We have all the other standards. If the NBA wanted to move quick, they can move as fast as they wanted to. And they have also put their own investigation into this the first time this stuff came out. Now this coalition wants them to reinvestigate it and look into it again. I don't think they're going to find anything. And which leads me back to what I said before. What names are in this coalition? Because if there's not any like big hitters, this is probably not going to change anything, in my opinion. Like, if you had big names, I'm talking big names behind this, then something would happen. But it's just not.
I think it could go either way, man. But we definitely.
You think it could go either way?
I think it could go either way.
I think if it could go either way, if it was going to go one way, it would have already went.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. Like I said, if it was going to go where they were going to remove him from ownership, it would have already been done, because the reports that came out, the first reports that came out, would have already been over with. Well, so what they found is not so bad. You saw the video. Like, yeah, what he said was real sleazy. That's sleaze of sleaze. That's terrible.
It's a roast. It's a roast.
I know it's a roast, but people have said like that's him. Like, that's what people have said in the reports. Okay, there's nothing different from that roast that we haven't seen before. You know what I mean? Like, you know how like we like when me and you, we joke, like, we know we're joking. Like, when me and you joke with each other, buddies, friends, like, we know we're joking. When you go to work and you are with your fellow employees, like, you know when employees are joking and when they're not joking, right? Like, people said, like, yo, that's how this man acts at that roast. That's how this man acts on the regular. Like, so it's kind of bad, like, if he's kind of that person. But we all know rich people who have a lot of money who act like that. And
exactly, I don't know if a judge,
nothing's been done about it.
I don't know if a judge can say, sir, you're just too much of a dick, sell the team. It just seems like wishful thinking.
You can't do that. And if we got into that, then it would be anarchy, period. If we got into that, and that's a political statement that we can't really get into. But yeah, man, it's just, the NBA doesn't have much. This coalition, I know they made their case, but I don't think they have much of one. Like, you need to have some proof, not just the investigation he said, she said, because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, some of these employees might be credible, but at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. You got to catch this man in the act, as we have seen in the standard is. Hate to say it, hate saying it, but you got to catch this man in the act. And now that he's got eyes on him, he's gonna be on the straight and narrow.
Oh yeah, yep. What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments below, please. Does this have any teeth? Are we getting rid of the guy? Or is he here to stay? Please let us know, man. Get rid of him. I know. Salty would too. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like button and go Suns.